Hey everyone, and welcome to Gaming with Vindicator, where we're building the city of Mikelsfjord. Last episode we turned this sleepy farm town of Alesund into an industrial powerhouse, and today we're going to be creating new residential neighborhoods to satisfy that desperate demand that we created for workers. But the highlight of today's build will be to turn the dormant volcano next door into a world-class national park. But before I do that, let's fix a few little things that I missed last episode. Let's get started. So first of all, I think the main thing is that we have got way more power than we could ever use at the moment. And you recall that I had to put in another solar power plant in order to satisfy some of the demand up north here. I still think there's something going on with the capacity of power that can go long distance over transmission lines. So let's take a quick look. And I see that we have way too much power. So let's do something economical and turn off the solar power plant downtown here. I'm betting that will not create any problems. So let's take a look. Yep, nothing wrong so far, and we have still plenty of extra capacity, so that's great. Next thing I want to do is that I noticed there's a really strange bump in the railway somewhere over here. Yeah, there's a bit of a roller coaster thing happening here. Let's fix that up. Well, isn't that much better? And we can keep this running again. Perfect. All right, so that's fixed. Next thing I wanted to do, I talked about putting in some toll booths. And I think that's, it's not a necessary move, but I think it's the right move. So let's stick in a few. It's not going to be a very lucrative thing to do, but hey, at least it's we're collecting a little bit more money. That should do it for this side. Now we want to go back up to the other one and do the same. And of course now we'll have to rebuild this bridge. Great, now let's just turn those around. Oh, it's for some reason it's not going to let me reverse the direction of that road. That is infuriating. Really strange. Let's see if we can come at it from the other direction. And I think that did it. Great, so we have our toll booths in. Next thing, you know what? We missed an opportunity to create some pedestrian access from this little town here. And by the way, while we're fussing with this town, let's turn this into an actual district. And we don't need to do much with that, but I do want to put the no heavy truck traffic policy in there so that we're not encouraging any kind of trucks to cross through this little town here. They should be taking the main roads. So let's do that now. Great. So let's set the policy, and this is called Green Square, but I think we're just going to call this Alesund since it is the village of Alesund. And let's check our policies. So we're looking for, why don't we do water usage, smoke detectors for safety. I want to do schools out to encourage uneducated workers to get working in those factories. And I'm looking for the heavy truck traffic ban. There we go. All right, so that will now prevent any heavy trucks from crossing this road. Not that I think they are anyway. It's a very sleepy road. I think because it's a farm road, the speed limit's so low, it shouldn't be a problem anyway. But I do want to encourage some walkability, and it's not going to be a whole lot of people using this most likely, but let's get a pathway in anyway. And let's think about the best place to cross over here. So obviously we want people to come from the town and get across the highway somehow, because right now they're forced onto this bridge or going all the way down across. Well, they can't even get across this way, can they? So I guess they could cross. No, I don't think they can cross that highway as pedestrians. So let's think about where it makes sense to put in a pathway. And I'm thinking right here might be a great place to do that. So let's get back down on the ground. And let's just start a pathway, and we're gonna do that without the guidelines on first. And we'll just come down a few tiles in order to get our grid lines started. Get our guidelines back on. And I think I wanna cross just right here. And the idea is, in case we ever decide to make this a wider road, we don't wanna put the overpass too close to the edge of the road. So let's go up 3 ticks, line it up with this, and we'll come just off 1. And I know that maybe that grid lines are getting me a little bit, but I think that should be great. If we wanted to, we could expand that to a 4-lane road and not have to bulldoze the pathway. And I wonder if it makes sense to just come right through here into the middle of town. And I know we're likely going to have to demolish something here. A little bit of expropriation. Yeah, maybe I can get away with doing just one of those houses? No. Yeah. Well, we'll try our best to get it as close as possible without demolishing that house on the right there. And unfortunately we did demolish that one, but somebody will build a new house. Alright, so now we have that overpass. Is there any other way to connect through here? I wonder if it's worth putting another path. I don't think so. Now at least we have access for these people to walk around over here. Not that they're going to really want to, but hey, at least we've got some pathway connections now. And you know what? While we're at it, let's get the park connected. And we'll do just some basic roads connecting down to this intersection here. One there. And can we connect this side? I wonder if we're too close to the road. Yeah, no, it's not going to let us do anything there. But I think we can put one off the top. And just create a little meandering pathway here. And we'll just connect that to this road here. Is it worth putting in any more connectivity? Yeah, we could. Let's start from here. Go behind these houses. Sneak it right under the bridge, all the way here. Let's get our straight lines on. Actually, let's start from here and see if we can go up. And we'll come across and meet up with that. While we're at this, it makes sense to actually build in a little bit of a connection here so people can actually get back through there. And I think that's just fine. Yeah. So we have some pedestrian connectivity now. We have some minor paths for people to go walking in the neighborhood. I don't see a whole opportunity to create more connections anywhere else. And honestly, this is the only residential spot in the area, so we're just gonna leave it. I do wanna sort of complete this roadway line here. It was slightly driving me nuts that it's not connected. There's an obvious opportunity there to just connect it like that. And what else? I think because this is a major highway, a high-speed highway, we're gonna wanna put in some fences to keep people from running across the road or something like that. So, you know what? We're in a farm area. It makes sense to me that we would use the farm fence. And I always have trouble finding it, but hey, I got lucky. There it is. And let's keep our guidelines on. Let's start perhaps from this end. Is it going to give me a good guideline? I don't know. Gotta find a spot that will... Do I want to go directly on the grid? Let's do that. And let's see if we can just make it come straight across to there. Yeah, that looks nice. It definitely suits this area. And we'll come all the way under. And we'll need our guidelines again just in order to meet up with the bend here. And I'm actually seeing that there's a farm fence here. Will it let me? Oh yes, it will. That's awesome. So we'll come out a little bit. And we'll see if we can curve this to a nice bend. Right through here. Oh, it wants to destroy that. That's not good. We definitely don't want that, so we might just come out slightly longer on this one. See if that helps. And we'll finish it off with straight piece there. Great. Alright, that definitely makes sense, and visually it's continuous. We've got a fence all the way down to here. I'm wondering if maybe we should just finish off this last piece around this very high-speed highway. Right, it's not going to be the same kind of curve, but I'm okay with that. Doesn't have to be perfect. And let's continue it on the other side of the highway as well. Yeah, I think that's great. What are we going to do on the other side? I have noticed that these slaughterhouses already have this fence here. I think that's the ore industry fence, so let's see if we can match it up. Where's my ore industry fence? I think it's this one. There we go. Yeah, so we're already fenced in here. We want to protect this neighborhood from any children running into the highway, obviously. Give them a bit of a sound barrier as well. And so let's select our straight. Let's put our guidelines back on. And let's see if we can come. I see. So if we start at this node, can we come out a bit? Yeah, I wouldn't want to get that close to the highway. So we're just going to come straight under here. In fact, I think we might bend a little bit. Will it let me? Yeah. We might just want to start from here. Come across. This will unfortunately be a little bit of a, not a straight fence, but it works. And we'll come right across here. We're gonna have a problem with our pillar again, and I wonder if the best thing to do is just no. We'll just make it a little bit jagged, which is totally fine. And on this side, I think we can go back to our farm fences. You know, I'm second guessing myself. I think probably if you're in the park, you're gonna want a bit of a more solid fence. Okay, that's pretty good. I know that sometimes the backs and the fronts are reversed depending on which way you start the fence from, but honestly it doesn't matter. It's not intended to be perfect. I'm wondering why this fence doesn't go all the way across. You know what? That's perfect. We're gonna leave it. Alright, we've got our fences in. I don't think there's a whole lot of value in doing it on the industrial side. Just where the people are, where the highway is. We've come all the way. Oh, have we come all the way across? You know what? Let's ensure that no one comes off the end of this road and jumps into the highway as well. And I think that's going to do it. We'll leave that as is. Alright, great. We put in our pedestrian overpass, we put in our paths. I think the next step would be now to put in some trees. This place is looking a little bit lackluster. Of course, people have trees in their yard, but I think we can definitely squeeze in some more vegetation here. And let's try to match it to the existing vegetation, the natural vegetation. Great, I think that adds a little something to this little village here, but I'm seeing a whole lot of blank space here, so let's fill in a little bit more of this and make this a little more of a beautiful area. Alright, I think that looks a lot better, and you know what, while I was up here I was noticing that I talked last episode about putting a roundabout in here, and I think it's probably warranted. This is becoming a rather busy intersection, and I don't want anyone to get backlogged. And you know, we're looking at only 1,100 of 3,600 jobs. So we could have 3 times as many employees in here and presumably 3 times as much traffic. So I'm going to take preventative measures, and we are going to turn this intersection into a roundabout. And unfortunately, this small animal pasture is just going to have to be sacrificed. Of course, we'll have to do some leveling. Try to get away without doing the guidelines or the road guides and getting too complicated. I'm worried this is going to get very steep very quickly, and this farm road is not that steep, so I might actually just back it off and rebuild it. And again, making the cleft in this hill even worse. Let's see how it turns out. Now, I don't love how that road approaches this from an angle, but I'm not sure what else we can do about it. So, in general, the slope looks okay. It's maybe not entirely realistic, but it's doable. And hopefully once we connect this dirt road, that's not too crazy either. I can live with that. And let's just check the junctions here, because I think they put a stoplight. Come now. Come now, don't be silly. Let's fix this. Let's do it right. Let's do a priority road. Check, okay, so that's broken. Bring it all the way up to here. Priority road, this should still be okay. All right, we have to remove our guides. Oh, undo. Did not want to do that. Don't you wish there was an undo button in this game? That is a little bit worse. I don't love that. Let's try it again. because I deleted my guidelines, the roundabout is warped. Let's try it again from the top. A little bumpy, but we can live with that. Yep, we can definitely live with that. Okay. I think I'm comfortable with that. What's next? We've got to fix some of these trees. These are a little too close to the intersection. That's fine. And you know what? There's this orphaned grain silo here I'm just noticing. That definitely does not belong on a road like that. Let's see with the traffic where it might make sense to put this. Thinking perhaps on this quiet road here would mean a minimal move, and it's a small grain silo, so hopefully it doesn't create too much traffic. All right, we fixed that. The next thing we're gonna need is some warehouses. That's something I neglected the last time around, and we're gonna want to figure out where it makes sense to put in some warehouses. Again, we don't want it to be in an area that's very, very well trafficked. We're gonna want it to be somewhere like over here. And the reason we want to put in some warehouses is so that we make sure that we have all of our raw materials stored up in the region. If we don't, we might run into problems like this, where we don't have enough raw materials. And that's not a problem of production. We are producing, I think, way more surplus than we need. Yeah, we have a 272 tons surplus. So that's a problem of things just not getting to their intended delivery destination quick enough. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make sure that we've got a couple warehouses sitting in this region, one for crops and one for animal products. We're gonna go to about there, and I think, you know, probably not the biggest warehouse. I don't know if that's gonna make sense. And we need to go into here. No, here. Let's see if the big one. No, that's obviously way too massive. I think I'm happy with something like this. What is that? The medium? The medium warehouse. And we'll set that to accept. Well, balance is fine. We'll set that to accept animal products. And we're gonna put in one more, and we're running out of space on this side. I don't want to jam two in the same area. It's gonna create a lot of heavy traffic. I wonder if another one might make sense to put it over here and just upgrade this road. We're gonna try it and see what happens. This is directly attached to the roundabout. It should be acceptable traffic flow. Let's get the other one in there. I want to line them up a little bit if I can. Is that about right? It's good enough. It's good enough. We'll line it up with this farm here. Great. And we'll set that to accept flour. Is it flour? Yes. Animal products and flour. Those are the two main inputs for these buildings. Am I right? Am I wrong? Yeah, it's what we're producing that we want to store. We want to make sure that these places have somewhere to store their products after they're done with them. So this is producing animal products, this is producing flour. Now we have a spot for those materials to go. That's looking good. And all right, we can start running the traffic in. Let's see how this roundabout starts performing. We'll give it a second to run. But in the meantime, I wanted to get some transportation going here. We have this bus station, and I believe there should be nobody using it at the moment. Yes, passenger serve 0. That's because we don't have any bus lines whatsoever running in or out of it. So let's create a new bus line that will take people that live in Nordved over to their destinations at work in Alesund Farmlands. And this is going to be express line. We don't want any other connections in town. Everyone can get to the bus depot there. And why don't we think about where we want to run this line. So we're going to want to do a bit of a loop so that it will catch everybody, and we don't want to do so many stops that we're making it impossible for people to get home or to their workplaces in an efficient manner. So there's one option where we just go right down the middle, back and forth, but I'm going to want to actually capture a little bit more, and you know what, we're going to have to do a double line back and forward, because I don't think there's any way we can loop this and make it attractive to people to take to work. So let's think about this. And right back to the station. Perfect. And we'll do a second one beside that, and this is basically going to run in the opposite direction. All right, I think that should at least service some of the demand for people going from their houses in this area to their workplaces. Let's change the color of those lines. And I think it was this one. One of these was this, yes. And it's a farm area, so why don't we make it yellow like wheat? Color of wheat. Close enough, and we'll let that run for a little bit and see how it works. I'm curious why we have double lines running here. Oh, does that make sense? Yes, the two lines running the same direction. Yeah, it should be fine. Okay, so we'll let that run for a bit. We'll check this junction here. I don't think I ever ended up fixing those traffic issues. So again, we've got to see that we have a road that runs all the way through. I believe we can pull this all the way up to here. Looks good. This road should be its own entity, but it should actually go right to the junction there. That's a priority road. This is a priority road. And well, technically this should be a priority road. I'm not going to mess with it if it's not broken. So let's just check that that didn't do anything wonky with this. I bet it did. We've got all kinds of insane stop signs here. I don't know where that came from. And we don't need a light there. We'll let people flow. We'll just see what happens there. In fact, I think we'll just let it flow, because people should just be turning right primarily. All right, how are we doing here? This, goodbye. No stop signs in the roundabout, thank you very much. Definitely not there, that there. I'm gonna let this flow. And we definitely don't need stop signs on the highway. We're coming off the highway. And how's this one? We'll just fix this real quick. And I think we should have some pretty stellar traffic flow through here now. We'll leave that light, that makes sense. All the other stop signs seem to make sense. Let's see how that's running. Not a bad flow. We've dropped down to 80, but that's okay. This is getting a bit jammed up, but I expect now that I've moved the stop signs, it should clear. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, we have all these jobs here and not enough people to fill them. And not to mention a massive residential demand. So, look at this. We've already got some of this town gridded out. It makes perfect sense. There's really great usable residential land here. We can even come all the way up onto this side. Let's put some more houses in here. And you know what? There's a beautiful little space here. I think we're going to turn this into a park. So let's get to work on the layout of the neighborhoods. going to be dealing with some topography here, so we're going to be mindful of that before we start creating a grid that doesn't work for us. Let's get to work on the park. And where do we want this main gate? Let's think about that. I wonder if it's worth putting in a botanical garden as well. We've got one here. I'm not sure that's the best place for it, but yeah, well, we can leave it. Let's get to work on our park. There we have it, Anchor Gardens. That name's not going to stay, but we'll change that when the time comes. Let's think about where we want our main gate. It probably should be facing, or at least close to the center of town, where we have our train station and our bus depot, and preferably at the end of the road where there's a crossing, but we'll get it as close as possible. That's not the most ideal. I'd love for it to be at the end of this road, but with the bend in this road here, we're not going to get it quite there. That's fine. These people in the elderly folks home will have a nice view of the main park gate. And let's get some side gates in here as well. We'll connect those up with some paths. And I'm wondering if it makes sense to make some direct connections right across so that people can go from one gate to the other, and then connections from gate to gate. Yeah, I love how those paths have bowed out a little bit, but there's no other way to get them straight as far as I know. So we're gonna let that be good enough, and we're gonna start putting some amenities. That's looking not too bad. Not too bad. Let's see how much we have in the way of entertainment value. We've got way more than we need. That's great. We're going to make this a free park since it's the center of town. And we're going to wait for the visitors to come flocking in. And in the meantime, we're going to need to put in some trees. This is looking a little bit bare. Again, I want to match the trees to what's existing. That is great. That's what I wanted. I wanted it to look like a forest in the middle of the city, and that's going to be a really beautiful amenity for the community. I'm going to put a few more in here. That is looking great. Exactly what I was hoping for. And let's put in some neighborhoods. But first, let's check our services and make sure that we have everything covered. So we've got a brilliant, large hospital here. It's barely being used, but it's going to be more utilized as the city grows. There's one other thing I want to do. I've called this holding. It's a holding area. So let's fix that. I don't think we want it to be called holding. You know, we have the Soderland district over here, which is basically the South Land district. Let's make this the Nordland district, just to be obvious about it. And that's a European policy pack. Let's just double check our policies. So this really does cover the vast majority of the Nordved municipality. And let's see what it is that we want to have here. Parks and Rec. Yeah, why not? Actually, I want the schools out policy because the people that I want living here should be the ones that are going to go work in these factories. And those factories are mainly hurting right now for uneducated workers. And so I want to encourage people to go right into work. Let's give them a union since they're working in these dangerous factories. And we'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. That's great. We'll clean up some of this district stuff later. While we're at this, while we're doing trees, let's do some on this park here, the Hagen Gardens Park. And let's clean up that park a little bit as well. Now that's disappointing. We lost 300 students last year. And definitely something we'll have to look at. I wonder if that's simply a demographics issue and we've got not enough people moving into town, not enough birth rate, and not enough place for people to live. So we're going to take care of this residential before we worry about the university. That is now a park to be proud of. And this roundabout's looking a little bare. Let's fix that up as well. Alright, there it is. So I've got to say I've never been one to do landscaping, but I've been watching a lot of other players' videos and I see the value. And you know what? There's an oddly therapeutic something in that clicking multiple times. And so, you know what? The city is looking a lot better. There's much more work to do, but we're not going to go over it today. We're going to get some of these residential neighborhoods in. And again, I wanted to look at the services. So we're covered for healthcare, death care, child care, elder care. No real problems anyway. Fire coverage is perfect. No crime. So we do have these two elementary schools, and I think they're a little bit close together. I'm actually going to move. Let's see how full they are first. Yeah, they're at about half capacity. Let's move one of these over to one of these new neighborhoods, and unfortunately, we're going to break one of our pathway connections. Not the end of the world, but we'll get it into more of a central place, and hopefully that's going to cover our needs there. Let's just fix this path up. How are we doing for high school? There's one high school. It's fairly centrally located. I like it. We're actually getting close to not having enough capacity citywide. That's fine. University, we know that's a challenge because we've only got the one university in the east end of the map. We're going to have to think about another. Oh, that was an interesting jump. Going to have to think about another one soon. Public library, I think this one can very happily support the whole community. Let's start putting in our pipes. And here we go with the zoning. How exciting. No, we don't go with zoning because I forgot that we need more pathways. Now we zone. And I'm gonna pause it for a second because I did forget that I want to add some parks in here. Let's just make sure that we're not leaving people hanging. I like to get the big one in wherever possible, but I don't think we have a city block that will allow that. So we'll go to the second best thing, which is the small park. And of course we do have the main park here, but I like putting in these as well. Now we've got slope issues over here, so I wonder if it's worth almost just putting some smaller, let's say a bouncy castle Actually, there's a bigger block here. I wonder what I can get in there. No, it just won't fit. So, what is this one? Small playground. Yep, that works. And let's put a dog park. Kind of space them equally, or relatively equally. Bouncy castle for good measure. Why not? Not entirely necessary to fix up these roads, but I do want people to have options to get around. And as you can see, I've left this blank. We do have some commercial. I'm gonna put it in and see how it does. And let's run it. Let's see what happens. So people definitely prioritizing the land around this new park, which is great. And while we're letting this run, let's take a look back over at Alesund and see what's happening over here. So we still have some import, which blows my mind. I'm not sure why that is. We're starting at about 1,000 workers out of the 3,500 that we could have. Let's see if putting some residential nearby helped at all. And what's going on here? This is now becoming a bit of a problem. And why is that? It's because we've added this warehouse here. It's definitely putting more pressure on the road since we have this warehouse here, this grain silo. This one is fine. This one is filling up nicely. You know, I wonder if maybe this is not the right spot for this warehouse, or perhaps we need another spot for this grain silo, but it was here first. We're gonna leave it. Let's move this out somewhere else. I think we've got an opportunity to build out a little bit more of a space here. And we'll just quickly check the terrain. We're going uphill, so that's going to be a bit of a bugger. Let's see if we can level it off. So I've done something slightly drastic. What I want to do actually is kind of try to slope it a little bit. We can have a little bit of a slope, that's fine. And let's pull this off this busy road and put it up here and hope, yeah, that's not too bad for as far as, I mean, that's kind of ridiculous, but I'm okay with that. It's flat on, well, flattish on this side. Let's see if we can just smooth it out a little bit. Not the worst thing in the world. We can live with that. There's a little bit of a bump here, but it's looking fine. We have carved a little bit of the hillside out. I think that's fine. Let's see how this junction performs. And this road should clear up. It already has, basically. We've still got a lot of traffic here, but everything's flowing okay. Everything's flowing quite nicely. I want to make sure there's a light here. There is. Okay. Great. Let's finish one thing from the other city. You know, we have just expanded this area, and I think now it's going to be a little harder for people to walk to the central bus station or the train station. So we're going to put in another bus line and just a circular route, similar to what we did for the Nordved Alesund line, but this one's just going to be a circular route going around the town. So that's our one line. The next one is going to mirror that in the opposite direction. And we've done it. So let's see how that performs. I'm not entirely sure that the bus line is warranted yet in a city this size, and it's all low density residential. But let's make sure that we rename that line and give it a color. And of course, Nordved, I think, is translated as North Wood. So we're gonna make it green. Just not the same green as our train line. Should be relatively similar in color. Great, so we'll let that run as well and see how it goes. Now, on to the main attraction here. We are creating a massive national park. We have this beautiful hill here, this mountain, and guess what? It's actually a volcano. Don't believe me? Well, we're gonna have to turn it into one. And we're gonna take this peak and go with our smallest size, and we're just gonna go down. I think that is enough. We put a really big dent in it, perhaps more than I would have liked to, but we have a peak. We have a volcano. And what are we gonna do with this? Well, we're building a national park. And so, what we're gonna need here is a brand new road that comes up the side. I was thinking about this and how to approach it. This is far too steep to get paths up. I think the same can be said for this side of the mountain. We're not going to put it on this side in the farmland, and this is, I think something around here would be good. We're going to just we're going to have a frontage road mirroring this highway and coming right into Nordved. Let's set that up now. And let's check our topography and make sure we're not doing anything too crazy. In fact, I think I'm already going to back this road off. I went a little bit too close to the road, close to the highway. We don't need to be that close. We're just going to get our road going here and get our topography on so I can see what's happening. I see. All right. So yeah, let's come at this right about like that, and we'll slowly slope it down, and I think we want to match it up. So first of all, I want to build out the grid just a little bit more, and I don't love that I'm gonna think about going straight up this hill with the road, but it's sort of the most obvious move I can make here. And let's just have a road coming up here. We might even amend this just a little bit. That's fine. We'll back this off again, fix it up one more time. Slightly wonky, but that works. We have a road into our new park. Now, I've called this Snaefell Crater, and that's a bit of an homage to a book that I kind of liked when I was younger, and that is The Journey to the Center of the Earth. The volcano that they entered into the center of the Earth was called Snaefell, somewhere in Iceland, and I thought this would be a really nice homage to a book. So we're going to leave it as Snaefell, but we're also going to make a little bit of a nod to the explorer who went into the volcano, and we're going to name it after him. So this is now what did I call it again? The Otto Lindenbrock Park. There we go. For those of you that enjoy your Jules Verne, there it is, Otto Lindenbrock Park. And it's a nice match, I thought, for Snaefell. Now let's get this park set up. I'm going to want a little bit of a loop, because I suspect, and by the way, let's turn the speed down a little bit. I suspect that we're going to want a bus route in here. And I'm not going to say we're going to suspect. We want a bus route. And so let's put a very small road up in here. We'll go 3, if that's possible. 3 by 3, that should be. And we'll take this out a little bit. Oh, it's not exactly matching up, and that's probably because my road's not perfectly straight. So, what to do? I don't like that. I'm actually going to rebuild this segment, the straight road. Actually, you know what? There's an opportunity to just bring this road all the way across, and I'm just going to do that. And there's an opportunity to link it up here. Come off just, say 5. Loop her up. Yeah, I like that. And you know what? This is not Price Street. This is Snaefell Road. The road into Snaefell Park. And let's plop in our main gate. Let's say around here. It's the straightest segment. Again, we want that loop. That is acceptable. What do we call this street? Main gate. Let's get our gate in. There's a perfect spot right there. And let's start putting in some pathways. Actually, I wonder if maybe we want to start from the top and work backwards. So we know we're going to want a beautiful viewing deck on this side to look into the crater here. And where should we put that? Let's see which viewing deck we want first. How about one of these longer? That should be fine, but let's do the longer one. You can be right over top of the caldera, or whatever you call that. And I wonder if we want it to come over this side. The slope is too steep. We'll find a spot for you. That looks pretty terrifying. I like that. That should be fun. You can look right down into the abyss there. And we're going to want a second one, and I think it's going to want to be sort of looking out over this city. Yeah, this will be perfect right here. The edge of this little bump. We'll use the other viewing deck and angle it right there. How'd that do? Yeah. So if we're standing there, that would be a pretty great view of the whole area. I like that. Let's see, basically that's a 360-degree view. That's beautiful. And we're not done. I still want to put in a few more. And there's an opportunity to put one here, possibly all the way down in here. Let's see from this angle. How would that look on this side? Yeah. Probably have the opportunity to put a couple more anyway. Let's do one right at the top here. Yeah. Overlooking the whole industrial area, the river, and the great void over there, the great beyond in the blue. All right, I think that we're good for viewing decks. Next thing I want to do is connect up those roads, and we know from our topography that it's very steep here. It's the least steep side of the mountain, but we're gonna have to meander that pathway along. So here we go. How's that? That looks pretty steep, but you know what? The people that will be coming here are hikers, and I think they're going to be able to do that. That shouldn't be too steep. That's a pretty good. Well, that's a little steep, isn't it? That's a little insane. I wonder if we want to meander just a bit more. Let's back this off a bit and try again. Still a little steep, but I think we can live with that. And of course we want to connect up the actual end viewing platform here. It's going to be a little too tight. We might have to just come up here. Yes, that works. Very nice. And we've got to get over here, and I think it would make, well, you know what, maybe we put one more viewing platform on this end. Yeah, why not? Why not? Or is there another asset that we can use that would be better? What do we have here? Tents, viewing platforms, a little lean-to, our lookout, hunting cabins. Yeah. No, I think the viewing platform, oh, hang on. Lookout tower, yeah, that might be brilliant. Put that right there. Just a very lonely little tower at the end here. And I think it might be nice to run two different paths up here. This is way too steep. We're not going to touch this face of the mountain. But it would be nice, better hiking to run this in a loop a little bit. So let's see what we can do. Branch off here, come right around the side of the mountain and down, and that makes for a really nice loop with an extension off of it. Okay, I think that is working for me, and the next thing we want to do is plop in some assets. You know what, I think it might be really nice to put a campsite in this area here so that people that don't want to climb the mountain can still come and have a little vacation, spend some time in their tents, and maybe here, and we'll do a little bit of a circular area. Relatively circular, a little bit of a grade issue here, but I don't think that's an issue. It just makes for more interesting camping. And let's get the main, I think it's this one, tent camping site. Yeah, let's put in a few in there. Brilliant, mostly symmetrical. And I actually want to add another area, a second, maybe more exclusive or more, what do you call it, a more off the grid area. We're going to go in this direction. And how far do we want to come? You know, this is part of the park, so this could be a really beautiful camping area as well. Why don't we do another circle right in the arms of this mountain here? Back to our tent camping. Actually, I wonder if this is maybe a hunting area, and so let's put a couple. No, you know what? We don't want to mix the hunters with the campers. That would lead to some bad outcomes. So let's find our hunting lodges. Camping site number 1. Hunting cabin, sure. we'll put in some bigger ones as well. A couple small ones to round it out. We can even go on the inside. That's pretty great. And there, yeah, that is gonna be a nice little hunting site. We keep our hunters and our campers separate. They're all connected to the same path network. They can all go up the mountain. Again, we're not gonna put a path up this way, but we have an opportunity to move this fire watchtower, and it makes sense that it would be at the tallest spot, so we'll put it there. We'll extend the path just a little bit. Fire protection for the whole area. And while I'm thinking of it, I know that I'm going to fire in a lot of trees on this mountain to make it an actual park. And so before I do that, I want to make sure we're covered for fire protection. I know that the nearest fire helicopter depot is quite a ways away, and so we're going to get a new one put in here. Where would be a smart spot for this? You know, we kind of have a little bit of a public works campus developing here. I don't love that it's on a hill. It's probably not the greatest for helicopters. Where could we put this? We also, I mean, we want it to cover this area, but also this area, because we've got some significant assets over here. There are a lot of mountains, not a whole ton of flat space over here for this type of asset, so we might just put it up in this area. I wonder how's this gonna work. No, this is really gonna be a problem with the topography. It's a little flatter on this side. I almost wish I could put it up here, but there's no road access, so where does it make sense? Should we put it in the industrial area? Or perhaps somewhere on this side? You know, in here might be an ideal spot. Let's get another road along here. And we might have to destroy the power line temporarily. Can we think of a reason we shouldn't put it here? No. I mean, there might be some noise. I don't think the farms will mind so much. We're gonna put it in here. Yeah, why not? All right, I think we can run this again. And now we've got some fire protection for what's coming, which is a whole ton of trees. I do want to obviously get water in there, but before we do that, go back to our national park assets, our nature reserve assets, and we'll do campfire sites all along. And you know, there's no real need to get power up here, but it doesn't hurt. Nice place to stop to make some s'mores or something. Are we connected power-wise? We're not, and again, it doesn't really matter. There's nothing up here that requires power, so we'll just leave it as an aesthetic benefit now. You know, we could probably use a bit more action and excitement around the main gate here in case people really don't want to walk. However, I want to create a little bit of flat pad so that we can ensure that when we put down some assets on this side, we're not creating some problems with the topography more than we already are. So what do we have left? Tent sites. I don't really love those. The tent camping, fine. Lean-to shelters. What is this? A camping site. Don't have any water in this area. Hunting, no. Bouldering site. That seems like it might be something ideal for the main gate. I'm not going to mess with these little assets. I just don't care to. And what else do we want to put in there? What's an attraction that would be near the main gate? Possibly a couple campfire sites. And maybe a lean-to shelter or two. Put those in here. Just a little bit of attraction here. Any other sites where we can put a lookout tower? Nothing really comes to mind. We don't need to go on this side. This is a nice little spot on its own. And let's go ahead and get the water in there. That should do it. We don't need power to this gate for some reason. I don't believe so anyway. And we're connected with our road. We've already got people walking the paths, I see. And I don't think I want to put really any more pathways in here. This is enough. I can't see that anything would go on the steep side here. Yeah, we're gonna leave it as is, and let's do some trees. And I think it would make a whole lot of sense that when you look at the topography, you know, at this higher altitude, you might see different trees. And so we're gonna go with some, what do you call those? Like pine trees or something like that. Let's get those in. Alright, and here we have an uptick of students for whatever reason that was almost replacing what we lost last time. We're gonna have to look into this in another episode. Well now, that's looking a lot more like a national park. And I see I missed a little spot here, but that's at a lower elevation. So we've got all of our, what do you call those, coniferous trees in, the pines. And at the lower level, we're gonna go with some of these naturally occurring trees. That's a redwood, I believe, and something else. So we'll get some of those other types of trees in and make it look really nice. Well now, that is looking like a park worthy of the name. Snaefell Crater National Park. And the last thing I want to do is go through and check that I didn't make any mistakes with blocking the view with any of these trees. You can look right down into the crater there, that's perfect. And on this side, yep, we've got a little bit of a view issue. We'll take a few of those trees and make sure we're able to see the spectacular views. Let me take out one here. This one. Oh yes. Oh yes. Alright, and how's the view? Not too bad, I'd say. Not too bad at all. That is one heck of a park. How did we do down here? Good. Might cull a few of these on this side. We do have a view in that direction. Some of these big guys out. Yeah, that's pretty great. That's pretty great. Even a few more on this side. This big guy here. Okay, that's wonderful. And did we have one more viewing platform? I think we did. At the end here. It's almost buried, isn't it, this lookout tower? right, well, we've got our fire coverage. Let's hope this doesn't burn to a crisp. I did sandbox this a little bit, and the whole mountain was burning down, so hopefully I've fixed it now. We've got our main gate and our viewing decks in, our pathways, our fire helicopter, our trees. I think that's looking great. There's one more thing I want to do. I notice we have a massive demand for residential still. We fixed the traffic here. Yeah, everything is flowing nicely. How are we doing for jobs now? Did we increase the workers? That's the wrong one. We have still about 1,100, so I'm not sure what we could do to get more workers in this area. It might just require that some of the people that have moved in here, their children need to grow up and become uneducated and go into their factory jobs. But for now, I would like to take care of just a little bit of this industrial or this residential demand, and so we're going to build out a little bit more of this a new neighborhood on this side actually. And we're gonna call it something completely different. So let's get a district in. It would make more sense to continue Soderland district on this side, all the way down the river. No, that doesn't make sense, does it? Soderland will end here. Alright, I don't have a name for this district yet, but we're going to get to that at some other point. While we're doing districts, let's clean up the park area. We have our national park. How are we doing with that so far? We have plenty entertainment. Our visitors are creeping up. And there's one thing I want to do that is install a bus line. I don't know how busy this one's going to be in the beginning, but I do want public transport access from the town right into the park. And so this is going to be an express line again. What color should we make this? This is a volcanic park. The volcanoes are red, or lava's red anyway. We might just call it a red line. Which line is it? There it is. I think it's this one, 28. Now a red line, and we're calling it the Snaefell line. Do we need 7 buses? Probably not. Oh, 9 now apparently, so we're gonna go down to 5. We'll see how that does. Let's see how the station's doing. 90 passengers serviced. Let's take a look at those other lines and how they were doing. Nordved A, 62.57, not terrible. That'll grow as the city becomes more dense. Nordved Alesund, 28, well, basically 30 each. Definitely have an overcapacity. Those buses are empty, so we're probably going to just reduce the number of vehicles on that line. 8 vehicles, that should do it. I think we're in a good spot now. Everything's moving smoothly. Let's finalize this neighborhood, and of course we have a bit of topography. We're gonna try to respect that, and of course because the train line's here, we're losing a connection north-south, but I think we can get a road in across here where there's a single line, but we're gonna have to grade that. So what I want to do is back this road off just a little bit, and we're going to level it off, the land that is. And let's see, where can we actually get a node? I think any of these. It'll probably let us do any of these. Yeah, this may be here, this might be the smartest. So we'll go up just as a guide road, and we're going to level this pad just out a little bit. And we're going to take our slope tool, catch it here, slope it all the way down to this road, so we can make a nice level connection. We're gonna do the same kind of up and down slope on this side, about approximately the same distance, just so that we can continue the river road if we desire on the other side. I think we just might do that, because I have an idea that it might connect to this road, which is connected to Alesund Farms at some point in the future, not right now. Continue with our tree line street. Back this off a bit to get a nicer curve. And go straight up this hill. I think we want to back it off just a smidge to there. Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, that's great. Now we have another north-south crossing into this neighborhood, which I don't know what we're going to call it. Whatever, maybe that would be the Eastland district, but who knows what that translates to in Swedish or Norwegian or Finnish. Let's look at the hills here. Aha. So it would seem natural that one road would come off about here and curve right into this. Don't mind that. We would likely want another one at about that level, and I think I'm just going to continue this road straight all the way up. Is it too steep? Yeah, there's a really weird bump there. We might have to just angle this a bit better. Yeah, that's fine. Again, I can live with it. And we'll do what we were just doing, which is take a look at the topography. Come at a line where we're trying to maximize the usable zonable lands, so I think we're 4 there. And we'll try to follow that curve. Close enough. And we'll join this street up here somewhere. Something's leveling up, I can hear it, I just don't know what it is. And I think that's an interesting tiered neighborhood. We can get something in there. We're suffering from a bit of unusable land here. I wonder if that's just not an issue, we might just leave it. And then I wonder if we want to extend on this side of the highway. Let's just get the houses in here and see what that does for the residential demand. So we'll tweak the power lines a little bit, pause it, check this out. Yeah, we can definitely remove these lines now. And what's left? Can we capitalize on any of this? We could probably put a little bit of a cul-de-sac road in here. And I don't want it to join there, but perhaps we bring it off just a little bit and see what that does. This won't be very desirable land. This is probably more likely to be used for something like an industrial use. Let me think about this. Do I want another road through here? No, it's not necessary. What did that do for our grid? Nothing much. Well, yeah, sure. It's not the greatest, but it works. And we probably need a few more parks up here. Even though it's going to be a lower income neighborhood, I think we definitely want to give them some amenities. We have here, looks like a playground and perhaps a bouncy castle. What else can we? How about a dog park? People love their dogs. All right, let's get some paths in there for walkability. Okay, and I think one more up the hill here. And I think we might reserve some of this space for some of this like public works uses, or even maybe move it onto this side of the highway. But I think that's going to be fine for now. Let's get our water in. I think that covers it. Let's do this. Yes, we'll leave this. We do have demand for commercial. They seem to be doing okay on this road, so we will put in one more block of commercial. And we'll run this at speed and see what happens. I'm just noticing that trains are slowing down, and that's definitely not what we want, so I'm gonna make sure that the trains are not... That's really odd. I wonder why the trains were slowing there. There should be no slowdowns, no stops for the train. Let's see how they're doing for passengers. 138, I like that. That's very busy. And this line, 125. We're doing well on our train network traffic. How are we doing for houses? They're slowly getting in there. Let's rejig our bus lines as the final thing we'll do. And yeah, I'm comfortable with that. We'll let this run for a little bit and see how we do. Yeah, see, we've actually burned all of the residential demand now, which is odd because I didn't think we put in that many new blocks of residential, but I suppose it was definitely more than we needed. So we're in a good spot. We have taken care of that residential demand. We are putting in new citizens who can go work in the farmlands here and fill up some of these jobs. Our jobs are up to, well, 1,141. It's about the same as it was, hoping that will increase. But look, traffic, beautiful. It's thick, but it's flowing. We have no backups from warehouses or storage areas. Traffic in this town's great, everything flowing, the trains are moving quickly. And yeah, I feel good about this. And we have a beautiful new park for the whole community. And so hopefully this will become something that everyone can be proud of in the city of Mikelsfjord. And I'm happy about this. So we'll leave it there. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please hit the like button and follow me so you can get notifications about new episodes. And I'll leave you with a brief city tour as always. Thanks again for watching.